This is a 10 News Election Update.
Good evening, I'm Lindsay Pena.
And I'm Brian Schlonsky with your 10 News Election Update. The polls set to close in just 1 hour, with San Diego on track for a big voter turnout.
Yeah, let's get right to 10 News reporter Anthony Pura. He's at the Registrar of Voters, where, Anthony, people have been waiting hours to cast those ballots.
Yeah, we're over here live at the Registrar's office. People getting in line right now, expecting a 3-hour wait. Now, this is the front of the line. There is still a massive amount of people here that's wrapping around through that tent, and it cuts over to the other side of that walkway. That is the front of the line, and then people are able to walk inside to finally vote. I want to walk you around this direction, though, because over here you can see just more people waiting in line, the hundreds of people that have been waiting in line for hours now. If you can go ahead and walk, you can see that it wraps around the entire corner of the Registrar's office here, and election officials had anticipated that this was going to be a massive voter turnout based on early mail-in numbers and voter registration numbers, more so than the past midterm elections. Now, part of the reason this is also contributing to these long lines is same-day voting and a conditional voter registration. You can again see just people wrapping around the second corner of the line here like it was Black Friday people here. That's the type of lines that we're seeing. The good news is that if you are in line by 8 p.m., you will be allowed to go inside and vote. So you just have to make it in line by 8 o'clock and you will be allowed to vote. We'll toss it back to you in the studio, Brian and Lindsay.
All right, Anthony, thank you. Now let's get to the latest on the big national races. We've been watching everything from the House and the Senate, Democrats trying to take control of both of those. Let's take you to the map now so you can see what's going on right now. Starting here, well, that's not the right map, but we're talking about the House first of all. We've had some big changes already going on with that. I'm taking a look right now at the live updates coming in from ABC News, and looking at this now, here within the last several minutes, the chances of controlling the House have now swung majorly to the Democratic side. If you look here, now 78% chance of controlling the House. I
know the last time, at least I looked, Democrats picked up 2 seats that they had not had before, but I do believe the Republicans did pick up. Brian could read. I cannot see very well.
Yeah, it looks like we finally got the map up that we were talking about. And here within the last several minutes, a big swing here. The Republicans have lost 10 seats in the House. The Democrats need 23 to swing this. And now, as we mentioned earlier, that 78% chance, that's gone up from about 50% when, as Lindsay mentioned, it was just 2 seats. So 10 seats now going the Democrats' way in the House. And flipping now, let's check out what's going on in the Senate. You see there, Indiana, that's the big one that the Republicans have taken from the Democrats, and that gives Republicans a 95% chance of keeping control in the Senate. But we're still watching those 2 big states, Texas and Florida. You see on the map, neither one of them have swung yet, but both very, very close kind of examples of every vote counts.
Exactly. This is going to be a long night. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that here. I think a person that would agree with me on that is our political analyst, Wendy Patrick, here with us again tonight. Very patriotic. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely.
All right. So we were talking a little bit earlier about the Trump effect, as you called it. Explain to people exactly what that is and what it's doing to this election right now.
I suppose there's a number of different ways you can define the Trump effect, but in relation to the midterms, what we are seeing is we are really seeing enthusiasm, bipartisan passion is what I've been calling it. You have this barnstorming that the president has done over the last 10 days, and it really has energized both Republicans and Democrats. It's been more about him than it has about the candidates he's been out there to support. And the reason for that is the rhetoric that he uses, the language, the issues, the character, everything that he says and does is about perhaps re-election 2020. Sometimes people joke that they're hoping that he remembers to mention the candidate. But here's why the Trump effect is so important on both sides. Is it not only has energized Republicans, not new Republicans, independents, undecideds, but it's also energized Democrats to get out and rebut some of the rhetoric on immigration. They want to come out and talk about health care, right? That the president doesn't think the economy is important. He wants to talk about things that make people fearful. Those are some of the disagreements that are generating people getting to the polls. No matter who you are, what you believe, it's getting people off the couch and into the ballot box. So this is exactly what both sides want.
Which leads us directly into our next question. People turning out in record numbers.
Record numbers.
And a lot of young people out as well. What do you think is behind that?
I'll tell you, I am so impressed with young people today. They're savvy. They are serious. They want to make sure that it's a great country and they're going to do everything they can. They are actually more interested than I've ever seen before. And it's one of those things where the president is both a blessing and a curse in terms of his impact on both sides. But young people also, they're picking up the torch for both Democrats and Republicans. And they are a very strong voice. They're tech savvy. They know how to really energize their friends because they're able to connect both old school and off and online. And I think they're really going to have an impact. And boy, tomorrow morning, we're going to see exactly how much of an impact they're going to have.
Yep, a lot to talk about.